Gooris is going to be our next speaker, and I am privileged enough to go ahead and welcome him on board. He joined as a senior manager Oracle EMEA. Danny joined Oracle in January 2013 with 15 years of experience in managing vendor-led technology education programs. He has worked with ministries of education around the world, from Russia to Africa. Let's go ahead and welcome him on board.
Good morning. My name is Danny Gooris, and I'm the Senior Manager for Oracle Academy. I'm very pleased here to be invited by the Digital Learning Africa Summit 2022. And today we'll have it about digital learning through Oracle Academy. So hopefully you'll have some more insight about Oracle Academy and how digital learning is contributing to the education system. So allow me to start with the first slide. It's a little bit of numbers from Oracle. For those people that don't know what Oracle or what Oracle is, it's very important to see how many customers we have, how many employees we have, and more important, how many developers and engineers that we are having. But like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on this slide, so I'll move on to the next slide. For those that don't know what Oracle is all about, I will provide a short overview. Oracle Academy is Oracle's flagship global philanthropic education program. Our mission is to advance to education, computing, globally to increase knowledge, skills development, innovation, and diversity in technology fields. Our program is 100% free, no charges for educational institutions, educators, and their students. Currently, we have over 6,000 institutions in EMEA and over 10,000 faculties. Oracle Academy is active in over 120 countries, including 22 countries in Africa, and engage with millions of students to prepare them to become college and career ready. We truly believe that everyone should have the skills and opportunities to achieve their dreams. If we look at the program, as I mentioned already, it's free offered to educators. We understand and respect the hard work of our educators, who are the ones that provide innovative learning for anytime, anywhere students. We engage not only one-to-one with educational institutions, but we also welcome public-private partnerships, such as with ministries of education, labor, or the NGOs around the world. Our main goal is to provide the tools, the means, the training for educators who then engage and motivate and prepare students for not only jobs of today, but also the jobs of the future. The students of today will be the innovators and the digital leaders of tomorrow. So digital learning, is it actually new or is it old? Well, the influence of the digitalization is only going on to increase as we head into the future. Digital learning is already very common on the older end of the student spectrum. University students have enjoyed the flexibility of e-lectures and online courses for years already. But now we are seeing the potential for digital learning right from the start of the elementary school. The future will very likely rely on digital platforms to assist children in their learning journeys. The classroom of tomorrow will be more connected, and students will have more access to knowledge. It's also possible that the abundance of knowledge will enable us to cater more specifically to the individual needs of each student on the outcome they are hoping to achieve. These methods we will use to teach will need to reflect the new skills needed to operate in the future world. So we have digital learning versus the traditional offline learning or classroom. So let's have a look at the benefits of both the digital or online training. So there are many benefits when we look at online learning, like the flexibility, like plenty of choices. Think about the cost benefits or the comfortable environment to study, advancing your own career, even while you're working, or gaining the skills that are transferable, or even avoid commuting and learning at your own house. Additionally, it also helps you to develop self-discipline and makes you join study groups from different places to understand different perspectives. And if we think about the emergence of the education technology, with the evolving of the edtech space, new apps are coming up for learning on the go. And this will be highly beneficial for students, as it explains the concept of any time and any hour of the day, which means that our education will be open 24/7. So if you're opting for e-learning, you should have options to study at your own time without having to visit the classroom, with the time slots for lectures are fixed. And then there is the documentation part. While you're studying online, all the documentation is saved in the drive, and hence the students can only focus on learning. They do not have to compile notes or write any notes. And then there's last is like the personalized attention. Online teaching increases engagement between the student and the teacher, resulting in a personalized attention to the student. Here, in case of the student is shy, he or she can then openly communicate his or her query to the teacher and doesn't have to worry whether the query is an important one or not. And last but not least, it's a great opportunity to increase networking. Online learning provides networking opportunities with students from different countries and cities as well. And they could learn, they can discuss and solve their problems mutually. This process increases the scope of knowledge and also helps students to showcase their work globally. But what does it about in-class teaching? What about classroom teaching? So, what are the factors that make classroom teaching so productive? Well, of course, there's the collaborative learning part of it. Basically, a classroom environment is important to encourage and to motivate collaborative learning. Collaborative learning increases students' self-awareness about how students learn and enable themselves to learn more easily and effectively, transforming them into keen learners inside and beyond the classroom. A second point that is very important for classroom teaching is the critical thinking. A classroom teaching enhances students' critical thinking skills. Classroom studying provides an opportunity for students to engage in live discussions where they can better utilize their critical thinking skills and to voice opinions or get involved into an argument. It also makes a rapport with teachers and making friends. When students learn in a classroom, they learn social interactions with peers, make friends, but also establish a rapport with their teachers. It's vital for our students to develop social along with their academic education. Then last is like the conflict resolving and building team spirit. So classroom teaching inculcates conflict resolving skills, but also presentation skills when it comes to presenting their ideas confidently in front of their peers, or develops team spirit and teaches them to get along with those from different cultural backgrounds. So I just mentioned a couple of pros for both sides, so for the online or digital learning towards the classroom or offline training. So which one to choose? So as the future opens up possibilities for more digital learning, there will be more chances to develop and improve digital learning with it. The question is digital learning replacing traditional offline learning? The answer is clearly no. But there is the ability to relate digital learning to offline learning or in-class learning. So digital learning offers the ability for students to have some experience with a subject before entering a physical classroom. It's a great way to cover the basic ideas behind something that more time in person can be spent exploring things further and cementing their knowledge. A great example, and we're talking about elementary schools, of this would be taking something like primary colors. A digital learning platform can instruct students that there are 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and that we can use those to make other colors. But then in classroom, the student can get out their paints and their paper and experiment with this knowledge. Once they have some fun and they can take it up to the next level, and then we can introduce the colors white and black to see what happens to the colors. So in situations like this, the basics of the lesson can be covered online so that time can be more efficiently used in class for real-world examples and applications. In the next couple of slides, we'll be seeing other examples on how they can become complementary to each other. Well, I mean, we have our teachers available, but they need to have the chance to focus on teaching. And in a traditional model of educations, students turned up to the class, learned, and got examined a couple of times a year. Then the parents received the report, letting them know if their kids were doing well, or in worst case, if they might need to dip into their retirement fund to hire a private tutor. This system was designed to let parents know the progress of their children, but more so, it was also about giving teachers time to actually teach. Because I mean, can you imagine how much work it would be for each teacher to give to each student a report every single week on their progress with every aspect of their curriculum? I don't think any teacher in the world is paid enough for that. The major problem with this system is that often at the end of the term of the semester, it's too late to find out that student X is confusing certain topics in a given course. But within the ecosystem of a digital learning environment, there is an online record of everything that the student has done. You can see at the click of a mouse what his or her strong points are, or where he or she was struggling with. This allows teachers to focus more on the teaching aspect and come closer to the student-focused learning and the one-to-one teaching. Acquiring a piece of knowledge is one thing. Knowing actually to use it is another altogether. I remember personally a long time ago, a friend of mine preparing for his first day of work as a doctor. He graduated medical school just 2 months before, and he was terrified. When I asked him why, his response was like, well, Danny, I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know actually what to do with it. That's one of the biggest criticisms that the digital learning world gets, is that it's not actually teaching our kids useful life skills. And for example, I mean, like, how many times have you heard someone saying that kids have no idea how to use a paper map? While orienteering with a compass and a map is quite an impressive skill to have in 2022, it's not really going to be that incredible useless unless you plan on being dropped into the wilderness, Bear Grylls style, and have to force to survive on nothing but pine cones and determination. Kids might not be able to read the paper map, but thanks to practical applications provided by digital platforms, they could probably book you a holiday in Spain, compare the best prices for accommodation, tell you the best time of the year to go, and even take you on a virtual tour of the labyrinth in Barcelona without getting lost. If that's not a practical application in action, then I don't know what is. So how is digital learning already improving the educational system? Well, without digital learning platforms, many students would have spent large parts of the past 2 years learning absolutely nothing. We have already seen that throughout the pandemic, our advancement in digital learning are improving the education system. But there are some more specific outcomes to consider as well. So the first one is the more resilience in education systems. The introduction of the digital learning platforms have strengthened the resilience of the education system. It has created an adaptable institution where there used to be a rigid one. And we probably don't want to admit it because we may be a little bit jealous, but our kids are going to leave school with a much better understanding of the world around them than we did at the time. It also offers children a competitive edge in development. One of the frustrating things from students who are gifted or competitive is that they can often feel held back by their peers. They develop frustration that they can only go at that pace of the rest of the class, and over time it can make them lose their drive because it all feels pointless. With digital learning, a student is only limited by how much time they want to spend devouring knowledge. And this means incredible wins for students in the long term, and that can give them a better feeling of satisfaction on their learning journey. Another one is the wider accessibility of learning material. Digital revolution has helped the level of playing field when it comes to quality of education available to students. In the traditional student system, the actual place you attend school determined a lot about what you will be able to learn. There, of course, are economic disparities, budgets, and the sheer distance a school is from resources. All of these things have a massive impact on the education of the student. With digital education, on the other hand, it's not so important that your school doesn't have a science lab or can't afford you to take to the planetarium. You can have similar, if not the same, experience throughout the wonders of technology. More learning materials are available to students and teachers than could be found in any library. And also, this is one issue we saw recently with the pandemic. When the COVID-19 pandemic began shutting down schools just around the world everywhere, school systems had to quickly adjust. They needed to figure out how to continue when people couldn't physically be in the same place. Luckily, digital and hybrid models of education were able to get many students to end of the school year without falling behind. What we have learned from this time has also changed the way we look at education, much in the same way as we now look at our jobs. There's a lot we can gain from using technology to our advantage. So why digital learning is reshaping the education? Well, reshaping of education by digital learning has been a natural progression that stems from the way the world has changed in the last century. Almost every facet of our life, some form of digital element to it is now included. So it was bound to happen eventually. Technology is so deeply tied with the knowledge that a recent study found that 61% of students use their phone to help them study. And 95% of students felt that it's impossible to study without technology. The truth is that we are living in an age of information, fast information. And that information is sometimes so fast that by the time a textbook is printed and distributed, it might not be the reliable source any longer. The education system is being reshaped because it's necessary. Our kids will positively benefit from the massive cultural shift in the future. So, when looking at a digital learning and traditional learning models, it's easy to get stuck in a mindset of comparing them. But it shouldn't really be about viewing them as old versus new situation. Digital learning is making leaps and bounds, but it doesn't mean there's no longer merit in the traditional way of teaching. It simply means that another element is there to be added into the mix that can help provide students with better outcomes. Whether it's through blended learning, one-to-one, gamification, or any other digital or digital assisted teaching practice, technology is shaping education. As school districts look already ahead to post-pandemic classrooms, they must also continue to invest in refining digital and hybrid learning experience. Despite the challenges, remote learning is here to stay. And many teachers are keen to see the acceleration of the digital learning to continue, even as most students will return to physical classroom environments. And to conclude, digital learning stepped forward, but it's not replacing the traditional learning. It's only here to improve it. So how does Oracle Academy facilitate digital learning? Well, Oracle Academy is offering free resources to teach and learn computing. And people might ask, well, what does it include? What does it mean free? Well, free means free learning resources, free Oracle Cloud technologies, free software, and free professional certification, resources, and development. With the Oracle program, students get the opportunity to get a hands-on experience with the latest technologies available on the market, which gives them a step ahead toward other students on when they graduate and when they get onto the job market. They will be career ready in topics like cloud computing, machine learning, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and many others. All technologies for which employers are fighting to get these skills in the house, for which recruiters are looking for. It opens the door for these students to huge in-demand jobs, which are well paid. So what are the impacts? Well, if we look at computer science with Oracle Academy, we can look at it from 4 different angles. Let's start with the governments. For government, it's important to have industry literate students. They graduate with the right skills which employers are looking for. The biggest concern is the skill set gap, which means that the demand after computer skilled personnel is bigger than the supply. And today, there is already a huge skills gap around the world. And Africa is no different. Employers are searching to get the right skilled people to work for them. A study has shown that companies are moving their operations from one country that has no supply, which means no graduate skilled students, to another country that has a supply of resources they need. So governments cannot take the risk not to invest into computer science, which have the right of the risk they might miss for the digital train. From a business point of view, it's crucial to get the graduates on board and activate them as soon as possible. Hiring graduates who are familiar with the latest technologies or students who are industry certified makes it easier for employers to have them productive and contributing to the organizational goals and objectives of the company. And then look out for the institutions. What is this? This is a 100% free and philanthropic program. Oracle Academy provides educators and students with the most up-to-date curricula, latest technology, software versions, and most important, allows them to graduate computing and industry literate students. You can compare them. You can compare our offering as a free buffet. You don't have to take anything, but you can take all of it if you like. So basically, and the last one is the most important one, are for the students. They know when they graduate with Oracle Academy that they are college and career ready. They can show their potential employers that they have hands-on experience with current technologies, which always give them that extra for which they find a way to a job much easier than other graduate students which didn't go through the Oracle Academy. So basically, Oracle Academy is for everybody a win. So in these cases, it's a win-win-win-win for all of us. I think that's very important. So why do we think like there's 5 reasons to move to the cloud actually? Well, Oracle Academy members, educators enjoy one-time classroom setup to teach, explore, build, and develop in the cloud. Easily provisioning student accounts for anytime, anywhere learning with free access to the Oracle Cloud tier. You will save hundreds of hours of time year over year. We know your time is valuable and you would rather spend it to teaching students than into administration tasks. Teaching the cloud means that you won't need on-premise software, maintenance, patching, or upgrades, saving you and your institution, IT staff, countless hours of time year over year. You also will have access to all free services that Oracle Cloud free tier continues to add. And that includes amongst your choice of Oracle Autonomous Database, transaction processing, or data warehouse, compute virtual machines, large amount of storage and memory, monitoring and flexible load balancers, cloud networks, low-code Apex, and much more, all completely for free. The students learn from the cloud leader with hands-on experience. With the new Oracle Academy Cloud Infrastructure Foundation curriculum, students can build core knowledge of cloud computing with a focus on my last slide. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties here. But there is a lot of things that we are offering. And as I mentioned before, we access to 4,000 software licenses, as well as the free curriculum, the free software, the free education, and other educational resources. So my question to you is, are you and your students ready? If you are, then please feel free to join us at the Oracle Academy program. Again, it's for free. So thank you for listening, and I'll be opening for any questions that are available.
Thank you so much, Mr. Danny. It was a pleasure having you on board. So what we're going to do is we're going to post the questions on an email to you so that you can go ahead and reply to the delegates. We have a lot of questions coming in. So am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we will be emailing you the questions and you can go ahead and reply to them.
I'll do that this afternoon. So thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm very sorry about the connection. Don't know what happened.
It's absolutely all right. Thank you so much for coming and having such a wonderful session. It was a pleasure having you on board.
Well, let's hope that next year we can